When I was at Kinkaid, I was really involved in a plethora of things. History was always my subject. So I loved those classes for sure. But I also did things like Model UN. And I was a cheerleader for a while. I was in theater, kind of just all over the board, all kinds of things. And thankfully, everyone was like really understanding on how much time I had to commit to each class and each activity. So it was really easy to work with my teachers and my um, like directors, I guess, to figure out how to balance all that.
I think my most memorable moment at Kincaid was being a part of the peer mentor program my senior year. Um, I know myself, I was a peer mentor leader, and so I really got to work closely with a lot of students that obviously in the ninth grade class, but in the senior class that I did not get to work closely with for most of my career as we really select people across various sports programs, arts programs to be a part of the program. And so it really helped me expand my friend group in my senior year. And I thought it was a great time being able to share my experiences with the freshmen at Kincaid. And I also played three sports all 4 years. Academically, I was in all AP, all honors classes. I was a member of the band program, Eagle Scout, did a lot of stuff outside of Kincaid as well. And so, in terms of managing all of those interests, I think the biggest thing was having a schedule and executing a plan. Really, the thing I focused on most was where can I put really the important things in my life? Where am I really devoting that time? And being able to prioritize ended up being a key role in my success.
In terms of what I did in high school, I was really interested in debate. Shout out to the debate team. I did it all 4 years. I was interested in the Student Diversity Leadership Board and helped it at its early stages. And I was involved in the peer mentorship program. I also was involved with Culture Fest, our annual culture show, and helped to organize it. And these are just some of the highlights that I had of my time at Kincaid.
My support system was really my parents and my teachers, being completely honest with them with where I was at, because it's a lot of hard work. High school is a lot of hard work, and sometimes that means having to prioritize one class over another. And that means being honest with your teacher, like, hey, I did not get to your homework that night, and I will get it to you tomorrow. Or, hey, like, Mom, I'm really, really struggling in this class and I need your help because I can't email my professor because it's 11 p.m. at night. And so just being really honest and vulnerable with, I'm doing my best and I'm putting in my 100% effort, but sometimes it gets really hard. And so they were very good with kind of meeting me where I was at, and making sure that I had the resources and the energy and the time and the mental capacity to do all of those things.
So, from a personal standpoint, the biggest social support I had was my parents. They encouraged me to pursue every interest I had and pursue every passion, even if they ended up in different places. I remember getting picked up from school and getting dropped off by my mom, my dad, my grandmother, and felt very lucky to have that. In terms of other support systems at Kincaid, I would say the people and other students in my clubs that I was in were one form of support. Of course, the incredible teachers at Kincaid who took an interest in talking to me and getting to know me as a person and as a student. And last but not least, my dean. Miss Kincaid was an incredible source of support for me, someone who I could turn to at any moment. And I really felt like, from a curricular standpoint, but also from a personal development standpoint, my dean always had my interests at heart.
The support system I relied on the most in high school was really my athletic coaches and my teachers. I think coming in freshman year, you always hear a lot about how they're there for you outside of the classroom, and you don't really believe it until the moment comes when you need it to happen. You need them to be there for you. But all of my coaches were people that I would end up going to after practice outside of class and having essentially heart to hearts about I'm struggling with this or I need help with this. And they ended up being facilitators of getting me those resources that I needed and kind of pointing me in the right direction overall for most of my life. I would say Coach Larned especially.
One example of a time that was really difficult for me was my senior fall when I was taking AP Physics, which is a subject that I am not naturally gifted at, I've soon realized. But after the first exam, the teacher was passing back our tests, and I saw my grade and I panicked. I did horribly. And I thought that despite the fact that I studied, I was still falling short. And I panicked and I wondered if I should stay in the class, what I did wrong, how I could do better. And the first person that I ran to was actually my dean. And we talked about, how to adjust my study habits and how to keep a healthy relationship with myself. And remember that one grade is not a reflection on you, it's just one grade. And she encouraged me to talk to my professor or my teacher and talk to them about not just how I did, but the specific areas that I could work on and how I can adjust the way that I learn and study in order to better meet the class. And encouraging me to form that relationship and that dialogue with my teacher allowed me to, over the course of the year, grow significantly and grow closer with my teacher. So I think that advice of seeing your professor or your teacher not just as, the person who gives you assignments and grades, but also as someone who's invested in your learning was huge for me. And that is a lesson that I've used at Penn many, many times.
I think the biggest challenge for me in high school was, as I touched on earlier, you get to pick a lot of these things for yourself now. And my biggest thing was getting sucked into the Kinkaid student does everything. I had 3 older sisters who went through Kinkaid before me, and I never saw them say no. And so I think going into high school, I had this expectation that I was going to be able to do everything and not fail. I couldn't complete an assignment, or I'd overextended myself in too many clubs, even something as small as that, where I couldn't keep up with it. And so that really taught me going into college that self-limitations are not necessarily a bad thing, and they should not be judged by yourself or others. I really think that knowing yourself and knowing kind of where your breaking point is crucial. And I learned it going into my sophomore year that, I had to say no to some things that maybe even I wanted to do, but I had other priorities.
My parents supported me the best when they continuously told me that as long as I was doing my best, they were proud of me. You'll hear it time and time again the older you get, but as long as you're giving 100%, you're doing your best. And some days your 100% could probably be 10% of what you normally give. But if you give that 10%, you are giving 100%. And that is all they ever expected of me. They just expected me to put my best foot forward and to try as hard as I could. Use the resources available to me again. Like, that is just such a big thing. You can't get through high school alone. You have to have people behind you. And so that, I think, was the greatest thing. And they still tell me that today. As long as I'm doing my best, they are proud of me. And it's such a comfort.
So my parents truthfully supported me in high school, I would say, in multiple ways. Besides the logistics of living in Katy and having that 45-minute commute each way and having them drive me, I would say the fact that my parents were so open and tolerant with me, the fact that they were willing to hear me out on any interest I had and encourage me to go outside my comfort zone was truthfully the best gift I could have had. And the advice that they gave me on how to pursue friendships, but also my relationships with teachers and my coursework and how to grow myself was invaluable to me and helped me in the most stressful moments, but also in the happiest moments. So I would say to parents out there, the best thing you can do in this early time in high school is just encourage and support your children. Be there for them if they fall and if they need help, but let them explore, let them mingle and go outside their comfort zone, and just support them on that journey.
My parents supported and helped me the most by really being the people that held me accountable. I think the great thing about being in high school is you get to make a lot more of your own decisions and you get to kind of set your own schedule. But my parents really focused in on making sure I was following through on things and making sure that the things I had committed to, I was actually doing. I think they were less the people that were driving me to practice or telling me what to do, and more the people of how did this go or how did that go today, and really being more of a I guess supportive cast member instead of a director role.
So in terms of the mentors I had in Kinkaid, I would say there were a few main sources. Formally, the mentors that I had included my teachers, of course, in different classes. Even if I had a class my freshman year, my professor or my teachers in later years would always come back to check on how I've done and either support me. My deans and the college advising system at Kinkaid was incredible, from helping me plan classes to looking at colleges. From an academic standpoint, yes, they're great. But also, I would say from a personal standpoint, Kinkaid is incredibly unique in this support and the strength of the Dean's program. The fact that you get that much face time with someone who is literally there to be invested in you, not just as an academic student, but also as a person and as a high schooler and as a teenager who's about to become an adult, is humongous. And I don't think I would be anywhere I am today without that infrastructure.
My dean was my rock. Mrs. Mott, helped me through so many different eras because I could not figure out what classes I wanted to take. I couldn't figure out, especially as I got later into high school, kind of figuring out APs and whether or not to take those or which ones to take. But even in the beginning, like I said, I'm a big history girl and I didn't get into WAP at the beginning of high school. And that was a really big struggle for me. And Miss Mott sat there and she told me, she was like, that is okay. You know what that means? You have 2 years to work really, really hard with your teachers to learn everything you can so that when you get to junior year, you can get into APUSH. And that is exactly what I did. And I formed those relationships with Hawks and with Miss Faird. And they really formed me into a person who could step confidently into APUSH. And that was all because Miss Mott was sitting there telling me that this is something that I can do, and if I'm passionate about it, to keep pushing forward. And I think, again, I just had to go into her with that vulnerability of, I'm upset about this, and I wish I could have gone into WAP. And she's really good at guiding you in a way, even when you think you're on the wrong path, back onto a path that you want to be on.
Yeah, I think I was in my dean's office about every day at some point in my high school career. And so I think the other thing that you don't understand going in as a freshman is that they're really there for you all the time. You don't want to bug them too much, but you do want to make sure you have a relationship, especially 4 years from now when it becomes an issue or it becomes necessary to have that foundation.
Will hopefully be seeing the rest of your life. I still get coffee with my dean. I still see my high school friends. I just backpacked with one of them over the summer. And so the roots that you build in high school will go with you forever. And to parents, I'm sure that this must be an exciting time for you. I remember my parents being nervous but excited for me when I first started at Kinkaid. But like I said, the best thing you could do is to support your child, support every one of their interests, and encourage them to think outside the box and stretch themselves. But most importantly, to be there when they fall. High school can definitely be a challenging time. And the best thing that for any of us as students to know and have is the fact that we have so many people in our corner.
I think my last words would just be that if you ever find yourself needing help or maybe in a situation you don't feel like you can handle alone, there are so many resources that extend far beyond even the teachers you have in class. I know there were several times where I would go to a teacher I hadn't even had a course from and had just heard good things about them as a resource and talk to them about my problems, I guess is the best way to phrase it. And then besides that, I would just recommend that you stay in contact with your dean. These are people that care about you legitimately. They're always emailing the teachers and letting them know what's going on and where your head's at and what you need as a student. And I think that's something I didn't appreciate my freshman year. And you're going to need to have that relationship very soon. So other than that, I would say good luck and thank you for having me.
I just want to say that high school is such a fun place if you really take advantage of everything. One thing that I wish I had done when I was in high school is not let what other people thought about me kind of control what I was doing. To really just walk in confidence and to walk vulnerably, I think is a really hard thing to do in high school, but it is so worth it because it puts you into so many different situations that you are creating new friendships and new relationships with teachers you might not have known had you not taken that class or had you not joined that club. And so I think that it's hard to be involved in everything, but if you can be involved in a lot of different things or just a couple different things, it's really worth it to find who you are and what you enjoy. High school is about, yes, getting really good grades and getting into a good college, but it's also about figuring out what you love to do. Because when you graduate high school, you're gonna have more free time than you know what to do with. And you're gonna wanna do something with that time. So figure out what you love to do and make it a hobby, make it a passion.